The Isle of Man Steam Packet Company Limited, abbreviated to IOMPCO, Manx, Cheshire Fagad Brí Ellan Vannin, is the oldest continuously operating passenger shipping company in the world, celebrating its 180th anniversary in 2010. The company provides freight, passenger and vehicle services between the Isle of Man Sea Terminal, in Douglas, Isle of Man, and 5 ports in the United Kingdom and Ireland. On May 8, 2018, it was announced that the Isle of Man government intended to acquire the Steam Packet Company for £124 million. The proposal was approved in Tynwald a week later. User agreement. The Steam Packet Company is required to fulfill the terms of a user agreement negotiated with the island's Department of Transport. Under the 2004 extension of the agreement, the following minimum service levels are required: inbound freight capacity, 7,800 lane meters per week. Service to northwest UK ports, 936 return sailings per year. Summer period frequency to Liverpool, a daily service from April to the third week in October. Services to the east coast of Ireland, 63 return sailings per year. Compliance with the above requirements gains the sole user rights to the government-owned linkspan in Douglas Harbour. The Steam Packet Company owns the second linkspan, and thus controls a monopoly on roll-on roll-off vehicle transport to and from the Isle of Man. In 2006, the company was under investigation by a select committee of Tynwald, the Isle of Man's Parliament. One of the concerns of Tynwald is the annual published profit margins by the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company which, according to Hansard, are 36%, almost 3 times the industry standard for ferry companies throughout the world. History. Beginning of the company. There had been various shipping companies serving the Isle of Man before the formation of this company in 1830, but their crossings were irregular and vessels used were unreliable. As a result, the island could be cut off for weeks at a time. The Manx people felt it was essential they should have their own dedicated service. A meeting was held in Douglas in 1829, from which was formed a committee charged investigating the cost of acquiring a steam packet. On 30 June 1830, the forerunner of today's Isle of Man Steam Packet Company was born when the brand new vessel, Mona's Isle, built at a cost of £7,250, sailed from Douglas to Liverpool on its very first sailing. From the inauguration of the service until January 1832, the company was known as the Mona's Isle Company. Briefly, the company then traded as the Isle of Man United Steam Packet, before assuming its present name in July 1832. By the turn of the 20th century, the company was serving numerous ports in England, Wales, Scotland and Ireland. Ports served included Liverpool, Silloth, Whitehaven, Holyhead, Ardrossan, Blackpool, Belfast and Dublin. War service. Vessels and crews of the company were actively involved in both the First and Second World Wars. One vessel, King Orry, was attached to the British Grand Fleet and led the German High Seas Fleet into Scapa Flow in the Orkney Islands at the end of the First World War. Another vessel, Viking, was converted to become a seaplane carrier, serving as HMS Vindex. During the First World War, 11 out of a total fleet of 15 steam packet ships were requisitioned by the Admiralty. 4 of them were lost, 3 retained by the government and 4 returned to service. iBen-my-Chree and Manxman also served as aircraft, seaplane carriers. In the Second World War, 10 of the fleet of 16 ships were commandeered for active duty, 4 of which were lost. The Dunkirk evacuation was perhaps the company's finest hour, with Mona's Isle (IV) being the first to leave Dover and the first to complete the round trip during the evacuation. 8 company ships took part in this mission, rescuing a total of 24,699 British troops, 1 in 14 of those evacuated from Dunkirk. However, this was also saw the company's blackest day, as 3 of the line's ships were lost. Mona's Queen, mined off Dunkirk on 29 May. Fenella, sunk by air attack whilst berthed alongside the East Pier on 29 May. King Ori, sustained heavy damage following several air attacks on 29 May, and sank off the beaches in the early hours of 30 May. The anchor from Mona's Queen 3 was raised as part of the 70th anniversary commemoration of Operation Dynamo at Dunkirk. It is sited at Callao Point in Port St Mary as a memorial to the company's crew who took part in the war. Vehicle transport. 4 side-loading Ro-Ro car ferries were introduced, beginning with Manx made in 1962, and followed by iBen-my-Chree (1966), Mona's Queen (1972), and Lady of Man (1976). Mona's Isle (VI) was the steam packet company's first stern loader in 1984–85. The 1980s were tough times for the company, with declining passenger numbers. Strong competition from Manx Line's Manx Viking brought them close to collapse. In February 1985, they announced a merger with SeaLink, who had, by now, taken over Manx Line. The main UK port switched from Liverpool to Heysham, thus ending, albeit temporarily as it turned out, an association lasting back to the company's origins. Topic: 2008 rebranding. In June 2007, a new CEO, Mark Woodward, was appointed to succeed Hamish Ross. He promised to improve the company's services, to return to the classic livery, and to promote the island's culture. As the first part of the rebranding, the Sea Express 1 and Superseacat 2 were renamed Snaefell and Viking respectively. The latter was later sold and operated for the Atlantico line as Hellenic Wind. The fleet received a brand new livery, replacing the old Seaco livery. All vessels of the fleet underwent complete internal refits which reflected the company's new colors and the rebranding of the company's on-board lounges. The terminals received new signage and new uniforms were made for crew and shore staff. The company's first-class lounge and members club were renamed. First Lounge became the Premium Lounge and the Blue Riband Club became the Executive Club. The Quiet Lounge was also renamed, becoming the Niable Reserved Lounge. Today. In return for exclusive use of the government linkspan at Douglas, the steam packet company has guaranteed regular services to the Manx government. iBen-my-Chree and Vannin provide regular services to England and Ireland. In addition to the regular routes, the company operates a few special day excursions to other destinations or round the Isle of Man in summer. Extra sailings are scheduled at times of high demand such as the TT period. The company also operates its own in-house travel agency, Steam Packet Holidays. In August 2017, the company announced plans to scrap the Belfast route and switch sailings to the Port of Ellan in Northern Ireland. The move allowed the sailings to carry freight, motorhomes and coaches which could not be loaded at Belfast's Albert Quay. Recent changes of ownership. In 1996, the Steam Packet Company became a wholly owned subsidiary of Sea Containers Limited headed by James Sherwood, who had pioneered the Fastcraft operation. In July 2003, the company was sold for £142 million to Montague Private Equity. In 2005, the company was purchased by Macquarie Bank, a major Australian investment bank, for £225 million. In April 2011, it was announced that the company had new owners Banco Espirito Santo. In May 2018, it was confirmed that the Isle of Man government had agreed a deal worth £124 million to purchase 100% of MIOM Limited, the parent company of the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company. The deal was approved by Tynwald on 16 May 2018. Fleet. The company operates 2 vessels, a year-round conventional Ro-Pax vessel and a Fastcraft which operates seasonally. A Ro-Ro freighter has been chartered when required. Present-day operations. The Steam Packet Company operates services between Douglas, Heysham year-round service, Douglas, Liverpool seasonal service, March to November, Douglas, Birkenhead seasonal service, November to March, Douglas, Belfast seasonal service, April to September, Douglas, Dublin seasonal service, April to September. Topic: Historic fleet. See also List of ships below. The company started with wooden paddle steamers, which soon gave way to the steel screw vessels. The screw vessels were superseded by turbine steamers, the first being the 1905 Viking. The company then replaced the passenger-only steamers with side-loading car ferries, the first diesel car ferry being the 1972 Mona's Queen v. Fastcraft then became the next generation of vessels to operate for the company, the first being the Seacat Isle of Man. Pre-war steamers. The company built 5 steamers over 10 years from 1927. They were the replacements for the various second-hand steamers that the company purchased to replace its First World War losses. The Six Sisters. A class of vessel derived from pre-war steamers Fenella and Tynwald, affectionately known as the Six Sisters. These were all built by Camell Laird in Birkenhead and were in service between 1946 and 1982. They operated from Douglas to various ports. No two vessels were identical and all had their own, albeit minor, differences. The last vessel to be withdrawn was Manxman in 1982. At the time it was the last vessel of its type in service in the British Isles. Despite preservation attempts, the vessel was finally scrapped in 2012. Side-loading car ferries. The company developed a design of side-loading car ferries, with a spiral ramp at the stern. These could operate as car ferries from ports which were not equipped with linkspans. This design is still unique to the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company today. They operated from Douglas to various ports. Ro-Ro ferries. The company has operated a number of Ro-Ro passenger and freight ferries in its history, the pioneering vessel being the Peveril IV in 1981, in response to Manx Line's Manx Viking. Fastcraft. The company has operated Fastcraft since 1993. Incidents. Topic: 2007 Sea Express 1 accident. On 3 February 2007, Sea Express 1, formerly Seacat Isle of Man, collided with the cargo ship Alaska Rainbow in heavy fog in the River Mersey. None of the 294 passengers and crew was hurt, and the ferry was moored at Liverpool Pier Head while water was being pumped from the engine room. A number of cars remained on board. She was later towed to the Camell Laird Basin in Birkenhead, where all cars remaining aboard were offloaded. On 14 March 2007, the Sea Express 1 was relaunched. In the meantime, alternative service was provided by iBen-my-Chree to Birkenhead during the weekends. In December 2007, the vessel was renamed to become the 6th Snaefell. Topic: 2010 iBen-my-Chree accident. On 26 March 2010, while embarking passengers and loading vehicles at Heysham, England, the Ro-Ro passenger ferry iBen-my-Chree moved approximately 8 metres along the quayside, causing serious damage to the passenger access structure. The foot passenger walkway detached at both ends and collapsed onto the quayside, and the gangway detached from the vessel's side shell door and was left hanging on a single rope. Fortunately, there were no injuries. 8 passengers were trapped in the gangway compartment of the shore structure and were later rescued by the local fire service. Competition. Topic: 2010 competition with Mezeron. On 1 November 2010, it was reported on the Isle of Man newspaper's website that the steam packet had lost 2 major freight customers to rival company Mezeron, who had just set up a new freight service between Douglas and Liverpool a week or so earlier. In February 2011, Mezeron withdrew the service, citing lack of growth in the market. Previously, the steam packet company had reported a loss of 15% of its total freight business to Mezeron. Ellan Vannin line. In early 2013, Sea Alliance announced plans for a new shipping company to serve the Isle of Man. The company planned to use a 32-year-old vessel MV Cometa. However, the venture failed and nothing has been heard since. Filmography. Steam packet ships have been used in a number of films. Examples include Chariots of Fire, where the team travel on a steam packet vessel with the liver building clearly visible. In the Barbra Streisand film, Yentl, the ship carrying emigrants to the United States at the end of the film is the Manxman. The iBen-my-Chree was used in 2004 as a double for an English Channel ferry in the film On a Clear Day. The Lady of Man was also used in the 2004 film Mickey Bo and Me. See also: Ellan Vannin, HMS iBen-my-Chree.